About 5 years ago, I met Lynn Patterson at the Whitewater Tavern, and lo and behold, we started dating, and she then became my fiance. And at this time, we were living in Conway, Arkansas, and relatively happy. And some things took place. One thing that happened was that, everything was good. But then things got kind of strange. I had received something from, at that time I thought a friend of mine, and I couldn't figure it out. And what it was, in fact, was an image. An image file, a picture, but it was a black picture, believe it or not. It was just all black. But I thought it was curious enough to take a look at it, and anyway, it ended up being a very strange thing for me anyhow. To make a long story short, me and Lynn are normal. Well, fairly, maybe not. Me and Lynn are completely non-violent. We're not going to rob a bank. We're not going to go beat someone up. We're not going to cause any problems and or disturbances for anyone, as our neighborhood in Conway can attest to, and that is Marlease Manor. We lived at 2415 Wilmington Drive, and we had a wonderful neighbor by the name of LB, who was just remarkably kind. And for the life of me, we can't figure out what in fact transpired to have us ejected and or kicked out of our house and neighborhood. I don't think the neighborhood had anything to do with it, really. But I'll give you a brief rundown. Our neighbors, one day I saw Bill Mobbs driving to my neighborhood, and he was with a guy named Jimmy Fiddler, I believe, in a white pickup truck. When I drove back into my neighborhood, I noticed they were having a big powwow on Story Drive, and quite a large meeting, if you will. It was kind of strange. And so later on that night, I'm sitting in my home, and I start having these people yell at me. They're yelling at me and saying just anything, get out of the damn neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. So about 2 hours into this, finally, an individual came on and said, how dare you do this to him? This is our neighbor. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. This individual kept repeating these things, and finally they all stopped, thank God. Later on, like 2 days later, I was subsequently kicked out of my home, and as a matter of fact, kicked out in a rather violent manner, and then lived the next 18 months homeless, which was okay for me, but it wasn't okay for Lynn, because Lynn didn't deserve this. There was an incident prior to this to where I don't know if this had something to do with the parents not approving of our relationship or what it had to do with. I think it had to do with ignorance and just a situation where my uncle Gary Cochran has in fact lost his mind. He's on 3 different psych medications, and he apparently thinks, or what he started doing out of paranoia was he started listening to me as far as backing up my network and bugging my home and things of this nature. He heard me respond to Lynn Patterson in a way that Lynn was telling me that my mother would take my car away, and I was like, Lynn, and this may sound harsh, but trust me, it's not. Lynn, I'll kill that bitch. She ain't gonna take my car. In a flippant manner, though. You see what I'm saying? It's not like I'm gonna kill that. It's I'm gonna kill that bitch. I would kill that bitch. She ain't gonna take my car. And it's actually more of a response to Lynn being crazy as to far as denoting that she was gonna take my car when she wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So anyhow, I think that's the only thing I can come up with that can correlate to this incident. And I think that it was that he thinks I'm going to harm my mother. And it's this obsessive something that he's fallen upon that's just, it's really caused so many problems. In fact, people are either believing him, and it's almost as if he is bound and determined to do one thing, and that's to see it through to where I actually am in a convalescent home. And I think that's just completely inappropriate. There's no reason for me to be in a convalescent home at all. This is insanity, as a matter of fact. And so what I hope to do here is just have enough support to where I don't have to concern myself with these incidences anymore, because they're many. This is a 5-year. This is a culmination of 5 years, and I just need these people to back off, because what they've done, in fact, is they've called the World Organization of Churches and/or the World Council of Churches, and they've utilized this international type of organization to attack me, stating that I'm either on drugs or I'm either insane. Noting that I need to go to an insane asylum. One of the things they ran on me, however, is that is so crazy, is a program called Pop Your Top. Now, this program is devised in a way that they want you to act out irrationally to, in fact, get yourself into trouble. And they do this in a manner that they just simply harass you 24/7. Because they have a way of using what's known as bone conductivity in some circles. They have a way of, you have to hear this 24/7 because it's piped through like an FM radio broadcast. So if you're in the vicinity of this radio broadcast, well, lo and behold, you will be. You're hearing this, and other people aren't. This is a horrendous thing, and I know an individual named Jamel Norton does this to people. Jamel Norton is a guy that calls himself a brain cook, or a mind cook, rather. And the reason why I know of Jamel is because I know his sons. Well, his stepsons, anyhow. His stepsons are Chris Maxwell and a guy named Wes Nichols, who I'm no more than Chris, but I've known Chris all my life also, though. Wes told me this about 15 years ago, in fact, that his stepdad was a brain cook, or a mind cook, rather. These guys do horrible things to people, and what they do, in fact, is they attack methamphetamine cooks or pedophiles. Not a good company that you want to be associated with at all. And this is what I'm stating, I'm stating the fact that I'm definitely not a pedophile. There's no way, no humanly possible way you could prove that ever. And for you to put a methamphetamine cook, which I don't know what the rap is, okay? I don't know what's involved. But what I'm trying to state is that to put a marijuana grower or a methamphetamine cook or someone who, does any type of synthesis or anything like that in chemistry, to put them in the league of a pedophile is just fucking absurd. Anyhow, this is vigilante justice at best, and it is brutal and violent as hell and horrifying. And it's horrifying that these guys do this for the World Organization of Churches and our World Council of Churches. This is completely against my constitutional rights as far as freedom of religion, freedom from religion, rather. I don't know which one it is actually, and other things that such as the separation between church and state, which I'm finding is being blurred more and more, and also I have a major problem with this because of Disability Rights Act. The Disability Rights Act states some amazing things to take care of people that are on disability, in fact, and have mental health issues. And in fact, what is occurring is these things aren't being put forth and used at all, even though they're written in and we have them at our disposal. I need people and individuals to know that controlled substance acts are primarily set forth to punish the poor and to punish the have-nots. That's what they do. No more, no less. Matter of fact, they're unconstitutional. They stand on legs of ignorance and greed, and the whole Controlled Substance Acts and the war on drugs is a pathetic loss, and only has cost lives. We have no idea how great this country is because you have Controlled Substance Acts, which are unconstitutional, and therefore you're institutionalizing men and women that have no business being institutionalized. And lo and behold, on this journey where law enforcement and police officers were law enforcement, sheriff's departments, God only knows who, because a lot of people can hear these things due to CB radios. I garnered, for lack of better terms, an exemption from prosecution. How I did that was, in fact, I told law enforcement officials exactly what I was doing. I went as far as saying that not only did I use and sell and manufacture methamphetamine, I branded methamphetamine. Now, this branding is what really took things by storm here. And in other words, everyone was having a good night as I drove around aimlessly trying to find out, where I could stay and all these other things. And I'm hearing these people speaking just talking to me. It's a very weird thing, this bone conductivity. And so all of a sudden when I did this, everything went dead quiet. And I knew something had happened. And then the next day I had some individuals come in on this wire thing and basically say, you did something. And apparently I did something that has only been done once in the state of Arkansas. And I don't know how frequently this has been done in the United States. But in fact, what I've done by branding is a whole new thing from what I'm told. It kind of single-handedly wipes out Controlled Substance Acts before the United States, because it does something kind of tricky. And if you think about it, you'll be able to figure it out, because it's not that tricky. What I'm stating is that after this occurrence, or after this event, they have begun to squeeze my head utilizing these ham radio towers and or cell phone repeaters. I know this gets a little technical here in this area. Military might understand this. I know the Air Force will understand modulation of these signals that, you're saying, well, we are not picking up, Jack, and I'm saying modulation. And that's why you also have to know that 1 GFR, the license plate Arkansas 1 GFR, was parked down on Midland Street, not far from me, and they were broadcasting from a home too there. So 1 GFR, if they're doing the right thing here, I applaud your efforts. Thank you so much. Also, PBS, Public Broadcasting in Conway, Arkansas, at AETN. I applaud your efforts so much. Thank you so much, and please try to help us along here. Help me along here, rather. I'm kind of all alone with this project, but I noticed that they had showed up at my hotels, in fact, a few times. So I'm just hoping to get some help with this issue to resolve this. I've noted on my Facebook page those that I believe are responsible, and thank you so much. All right.